My name is Jim Canacci. I'm a professor on the campus. And it's unfortunate, in the past, we had a lot more student poetry readings on campus. The reason why I say this is because when I was an assistant editor for the Icon, which is the student literary magazine here on campus, Eric was a student. And this is how we met. And he actually came, although he doesn't want me to read any of these poems, he came to my office hours with a book of poetry. And we were talking about his poems and having a reading. And we actually did a couple of student readings of students who were going to appear in the Icon down here in the student union. And we had people come, and it was great. And I'll never forget the first time, because I had never heard Eric read. And he was all quiet and everything. And he got up to read his poetry, and I was like, where the hell did this guy come from? And it was just like, boom, it hit you. And I was like, because there are people who can write poetry, and there are people who can read poetry, but there are very few people who can read and write poetry. Eric is one of them. So I'm glad that you guys came out this evening to see this. Again, this is more of a theatrical poetry reading than like an academic, interactive kind of poetry reading. And Eric has been nice enough to put together this slideshow that has some film, some clips. I have to remember. I'm going to turn off this sound.
Turn off the sound.
Turn off the sound. Some images that don't directly go with the poems that he's reading. Sometimes they do. But they're things from his experiences. Earlier today, I didn't talk about this, but 15 years ago or thereabouts, when we were involved in theatrical productions and things of that sort, I would never have thought that I would be able to have him come back, a published poet, author, artist, with his book to read for audiences on this campus. I'm glad to have him back. I was glad that he got to come back home to read. This is his home.
I must confess, I just want life to be like Roald Dahl, the accused racist, known for taboo and pushing childish literature into our hearts. Like Dostoevsky, frolicking among your feet, kissing your painted toenails arched into elegant high heels. Like James Dean, sucking dicks in Hollywood and coming out on top. Like Ed Wood, having no front teeth and running around in women's underwear. Like G.G. Allen, shitting on stage, bouncing his balls up and down and screaming, "I hate you, you hate me." Like Byron, being fascinated by pubic hair and picking wives by their lovely knees. Like Mr. and Mrs. Milton, romping in their garden, pretending they're Adam and Eve. Like Bukowski at the track, betting on the horses and telling us all not to try. Like Gregory Corso, not getting the respect he deserves, squeaking and robbing through the streets of New York. Like James Audubon, killing all the birds he painted, bloodthirsty savage, jerking off in cages. Like Cleopatra, having her ass banged by 100 Romans in a single night and just wanting more. Like Earl Flynn, swinging from the tower and running naked in the wild. Like Dylan Thomas, the sly shin kicker, drinking himself to death and raging against the dying of the light. Like Jackson Pollock, scattering his soul with hurt in his eyes, starving for attention. Like Linda Lovelace, the sword-swallowing siren, arousing the national spirit and declaring, the more you perform, the more you're beaten, the more you're loved, the more you want to be left alone and just suck it all in. Hey, it's not the greatest, but whatever really is. Drunk. It's like a tent is over my eyes when I enter the old haunts. The red neon flashing above Elm Road, largely a low hum every 2 seconds, flashing Papa, 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 and everything is a poem, a drive-in musical. Hissing howls, moans from the watering holes in Hillbilly City. And the hometown Bettys swirl their laughter high-pitched, burning the humid air, tilting puppy heads and raising big droopy ears with sad, curious brows. All the men shout, drool, play pocket pool, and lust hugs us tight as the lower part of their asses give us a nice big smile. I hit the hideaway, signal to the bartender, pour me a stiff one, make it a double. My hot breath bounces off the cold cubes, and there's a sharp sting in my eyes as I take the teeth back from the bite and peel my tongue from the roof of my mouth. Deep breath, and again, I kiss and kiss again. This is earth as it is. We are rough men, rough women, and we bleed out drip by drip over the farms, over the cities, and our dreams are just not enough to cover the bar tab. And we are a one-night stand, an old town filled with dry, broken hearts. I'm not your sailor nor savior. Is everyone doing all right? She said it was hot and removed her panties. After tossing and turning a bit and letting out some deep breaths, she sat up and unsnapped her bra. My big boys need to fly, she said. I just polished off a six-pack and was trying to convince myself to get out of the land of nickels and dimes. Are you gonna fuck me or what? She laid there with this frustrated look on her face, licking her lips. I think I need another drink. I got up and scrambled through the loose change on the side table. You need anything, I said? Yeah, a pack of Cools. And when you get back, you're going to give it to me, right? Okay, we'll see about that fuck when I get back. In the meantime, try to become a little more than who you are. I shut the door and began wiping my face, slowly moving down the dark, narrow hallway. Man, the soul can take one hell of a beating. And with the stress of everyday life, every man, every woman for that matter, realizes the childhood dreams are gone. A terrible taste forms in your mouth, the back of your neck becomes waterlogged, and we all thrive for the next story. The one that takes us far away from this place that loves a beating, a ritual killing, a still heart, this fabulous drunken place. With the love of whores, smoke, booze, and city, and the day begins to feel so much better. I'm going to give that girl more than she wants, more than she knows. I'm building her a soul worth living, even if she doesn't want it, but we all know she does, and I do love giving her what she wants. A Hopeless Nation. Here it is, 57th Graffiti Way. Red brick alleys rubbed with black grease and old blood, where the poets were the lowest, old and forgotten. A time and place when the portraits of their dirty faces shined from the covers of Life and Rolling Stone. In these alleys we rocked, knocked, shape and sound, hung among the well-knowns, the prophets, the groupies, dancing away every night we got. Fingering every queer on St. Lucas and Divine Street. Spending all our hard-earned money on rubbers and Grandpa's cough syrup. Old blues, white bottom feeders, praying and painfully screaming that the poor old Negroes never had it this hard. Happiness was a dead language, but we spoke the truth, kicking our own asses with Muhammad Ali stings and razor-sharp elbows. We were pure cool, silk Spanish cool, Irish born, saluting bottlenecks and oiling our knees for the next big run. We were everything everyone wanted to be. The mile makers, the city sideshows, boxing the sweaty air like a pride of champions. And our stories, our words, our declarations were all we had. And we did what we did, knowing that we must, as blood flowed through our veins, as air filled our lungs. These are the faces to remember, the ones, us, the lost history, the lost alleys. This is where it all began, the birth of a miracle, America. The wind is picking up, clashing, squeezing through the might and grit. Our blood boils and splashes on the street, burning with a shout, we will rise again. This is heaven. I've been laying in bed for 3 days now, and my arms have lost themselves in the islands of a frail, demolished woman. She loves my words. Her smoke-scented hair makes me never want to leave this whole mess. My beard has lost its luster and has given a home to the stickiness of sex and the slobbering of tongues. We've gone and written ourselves drunk again, our souls covered in beer and menthol cigarettes. We wanted nothing, asked nothing, a stiff dick, a wet and ready pussy. We'll lay for another 3 days and I'll write nothing. No poem has the stamina, the strength for this moment in history. All the stoves are empty, the old sink is filled, the wolves are at the door. Our stench has brought the critics. Our love will laugh, spark, and burn when the time is right, like right fucking now. 1 a.m. Vermont Avenue is a story. There are terrible writers, foul faces, smashed like metal mailboxes after a good swing from a Louisville. There are half-drunk Cronenbergs, no judge, no jury, the lowlifes should be hung. The bar in the Figaro has childbearing hips, but its ankles are weak, can't hold much up. There's a kid on the corner declaring he's new to town, on the prowl for female celebrities in karaoke bars. The bartender gives advice, just hoping to squeeze a tip out of his young wallet. The only woman in the place is sitting next to me, quiet and beautiful. Her phone rings. She gets up, leaves, her things, her book, her purse, her drink, her ass, her name. Next door, screaming, she's on call. Grand mistake. All day long I do nothing, just waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for all those interviews, waiting for all those people to buy my books, waiting for the night to come. I sit here, watching movies I've seen 1,000 times and wishing I had a beer, or a woman to tell me it's not like it is in the movies. Those damn actors who are told what to say, who are told how to stand. A woman who never leaves and feeds me the dirt I deserve. I sit here, looking out the window, wondering where everyone is going when I'm going nowhere and hoping for rain. And remembering my grandfather, who always said, "What do you want to do, dig ditches the rest of your life?" And I would smile and read the morning paper, being the good Irishman I was, sipping away on my coffee and thinking small potatoes of it. But now I know. It took me 25 years, but now I know. Every man hath a fool in his sleeve. Fucking. When she was writing me, the one thing about her I always liked is that she would say in a trembling tone, "I'm gonna come." Swaying her hips, blue eyes rolling in the back of her head, her hands becoming mallets, her fingers talons, her ass would tighten up, bending me this way and that. "Just let it go, baby," I would say. hoping my dick wouldn't break or have my ticker bust a spring. Because she was 10 years younger, firm, tastefully sweet, I had to drink 2 bottles of wine just to keep her going. Juiced up, speaking in tongues, fierce as war, and her bayonet nipples, her M60 clit ripping me apart, turning me into an unknown. She would collapse, kissing my neck with dry lips, mustering a dying breath of, "Oh my God, let's do that again." I remember thinking, I'm gonna need stronger boots if these holes keep getting bigger. I'm gonna need a better paying job to get this motor turned. She was about 24, but age doesn't mean a thing. I hit the end of the line using pickup lines like, "Your hair would look a lot better in my hands." Conserving my Pall Malls, cleaning my hat for the 10th time, I hit that marker, that questionable turn. Now, which way was it? Oh yes, just give me a few, baby, and I'll be back on my feet for you. Harder than a woodpecker's lips. After a smoke, after a drink, watching you glisten and squirm and clench the sheets like a drug addict in detox. And watching the bosses, the poor sobs who misplaced their souls somewhere along the road. For the lost, the spillers, the ones spared to tell the story. Ah, shit. Let's forget about love and feed one another tablespoons of lies. We'll be happier this way if we just keep on fucking. One more try. Tonight I'm gonna drink you in, piss on your fiery pit, tell you things I'll regret later and write shitty poems to comfort my rich soul. Tonight you'll see me walk away and leave you dumbfounded, leaving you to discover my mystery. Tonight I'm gonna drink away everything and think of all things I could have been. The moments I should have kissed the night, cummed on the moon, bled on the streets in your lonely city. Tonight is nothing new. Tonight the strange air still blows under my feet, beating my face with sharp stings, and with no answer at all, kicks me to the curb with the rough skin that you're in, and your laughter keeps me walking on for miles. Poet of the city. They all want to kill me, lousy sons of bitches, sporting cheap blades with my name etched on the side. The bankers, the lawyers, the whores, the rednecks, the thicknecks, the professors, even preacher on the corner. They all want to kill me for who I am. They all want to stab me when I'm reading my papers and breathing in the expensive air. The loners, the brown baggers, all the people willing to work in a country derailed. Go on, give it your best shot. Stab me. And make sure you twist the blade so my liquid soul spills out onto the street. Make my gut poetry splatter across the ruins of forgotten wars and fuel the land of ranting crackheads and junkies. Make it splash across the ball-busting faces of the young 20-year-old girls whose only interest is how many tattooed lowlives they can fuck before their 21st birthdays. Make it swirl in the throats of the drunks scatting outside the plaza, begging with their broken pride. Go on, give it your best shot, kill me. Become famous, become media, be coming when you do it. Give me something to live for again. Just one brief moment before Hamlet cradles my skull. Set my poetic gut free, for the people, by the people. At least give me this. So go on, kill the poet who has become your city. Kill the words, kill the man, kill the beast, because believe you me, I'm the one getting off easy. So go on, give it your best. I at least deserve that. The Great Return. I packed my bags, took an early flight from I packed my bags, took an early flight from Long Beach to Cleveland. It took 3 shots and 8 beers and with all my liquor-soaked heart, I really wanted to fuck the flight attendant. She wasn't having it. I asked for some peanuts and a Miller Lite. The man beside me proceeded to tell a story about his little Filipino wife, who he just left and was hoping to get laid somewhere on his business trip. I lied and said I didn't know any whores in town. He downed 3 Bloody Marys and got lost in his own conversation. Our middle bird landed around 6:10 p.m., raping the pavement with its rubber lips. The city is filled with strong-cut buildings covered in black snow, sad eyes, and broken souls. A feeling of relief comes over me, and my body sweat screams, "I'm home, I'm home." I hit the first bar I see and belly up. Began to settle in, reeking of old blood. The bartender gives me one on the house. The band begins to play. The lonely never get refills. Today at the coffee house, I saw a jaw-dropping curly-cued redhead tucked away in a corner booth. Her skin-tight denim gave me the questionable shape of her pale legs, her firm, blushing ass. I pictured myself squirming around her like a boa, forcefully kissing her young, eager lips. She was reading some oversized book filled with the lies of history, and with every turn of the page, she ate at her fingertips and squinted her bright blue eyes. As the steam from her herbal tea formed ancient gods that gracefully sailed and created musical numbers, honorably dying in the colorful Christmas lights above, I wished I was mad enough to feel her pain, her cold war, creative enough to become her rhythm, her sad shadow. She would be so nice to come home to, I thought, clean and evil. I dusted my eyes and cleared my throat. People in the coffee house began to crowd her quiet death. I remained unseen. Summer of '91. Florida. Let's go to Florida. We can crash at my uncle's place in Fort Myers. He's got an extra room, a pool, AC. We can do it. Let's go. The LSD was kicking in. The 3 a.m. witches were tapping on the oak branches with their brooms, and the dust from their pointy hats floated down Perkins Road, poisoning the nostrils, raping the brown hide of old man Yance grazing buffalo. The triple-dipped blue unicorn, tiny square piece of paper piercing our mad tongues, our bodies cut, warriors gone devil in the night, our dicks look strange. Teenage wasteland cursed our weird ears, folding into themselves, talking, deja vus. Almost there, Florida. Our ship's captain, Rick, is behind the wheel, speeding through the fog, dodging lost souls. His balls are off. Our mechanic, Mike, has his head out the window, flapping like a flag, and he just won't shut the fuck up. Our doctor, Sherry, has her vagina out, and she's convinced the damn thing is starving for attention. LSD and sex is not the best bet. Your pussy looks like a wild beast. My dick is strange. She squeezes her nipples. Finally, Florida. 2 p.m., lightning strikes. The trip wears off, our bellies growl. We turn on each other. Thank God for orange trees. 4 pairs of glossy eyes dilate. Love shines down on us. We tune in, turn around, roaring up north like a box of reject monsters. One of those heartbreaking days. Out of boredom, I took a drive around town. It was 23 degrees. People on the streets, jolly as hell. What the shit? Stray dogs running with their tongues out, fur matted with mud. All the liquor stores were closed. Not much has changed. A Russian in the credit union was trying to cash a $6,000 check with a pint of Smirnoff vodka sticking out of his back pocket. I offered him 50 cents for a swig. He stormed out shouting, Fuck this country. My account was closed. All day, I couldn't stop thinking about Hollywood. I would walk all evening on the stars, putting my hands and feet in the concrete just to see if they fit. I headed to Youngstown listening to some charcoal-throated actor read Kerouac on the radio, and the sun was setting over a cemetery with no visitors. I whistled a bit, pulling into a parking lot, lit a smoke, and put the seat back. It only hurts when I cough. I've been out of work for 8 months now, living on ramen noodles and whole grain bread, spending all the money I come across on books and cigarettes. I gave up drinking again. I forgot what a woman feels like. Hot, milky white legs, sharp, cold cheeks. I haven't washed my bed sheets because she's still there somewhere right between 15 to 30 minutes. I've forgotten many wonderful things, the simple things. I've lost at least 2 of the 5 senses, and according to E.E. Cummings, that's not that bad. Insane Earth. In the steel mills, the insane earth remained hidden, its flesh ripped, dry and fruitless, under hanging hooks, storms of dust. Spat at, laughed at with broken teeth, busting its ass for God and country. Wife and child slumped over contaminated water and canned meat. Beneath its hard ground, cracked bones, there lies a strong heart, rushing, pumping, never giving up, becoming man over a lifeless machine. I take my heart for a walk. I take my heart for a walk. Dental floss, wrapped around 5 or 6 times, squeezing my aorta, but the muscle is tough. I drag it on the sidewalk behind me, letting it sniff the grass or the ass of another heart whose owner is a suicide case and her blood is low, filled with bitterness and dirt. I take my heart for a walk every day at 3 so it can not worry so much, not hurt so much, so it can relax and just beat and bleed. I take my heart for a walk sometimes and feed it to the world, forcefully on days, gently on others. It's mine, it's here, dragging along Prospect and Belmont, frolicking in the dark green, dying brown patches, wishing it was young again. I take my heart for a walk. The Forgotten City. The city wants a new life. With its hair hugging its face, eyes shining, its chin knocking on its clavicles, its ears reaching to heavens from its Coca-Cola smiles. The city wants a new life, licking its plate, starving for love, beating its temples for a good hard fuck, crying from its asshole, murdering the air with its bleeding fists and begging for a new dawn. The city wants a new life, with its nose cold, its dead tongue, its hard autumn breast caged in the darkness of arcane notebooks. Dead in a wreck, dead on a table, dead in its sleep, dead in ugly art. The city is fat and hung, being sold at yard sales, urinated on by filthy twisted dicks and egotistical vaginas, feeling undaunted and more determined than Jesus and Mohammed. The city wants a new life, its skin ice skated on by grease-palmed children armed to the teeth, its blood pumped through the sidewalks, its knees giving up their strength, its stone backbone buckling. The city wants, the city needs, the city is a sea of flames, damnation bellowing in its veins, eyes of envy flocking to its torture. Holy Mary, Mother of God, the city has our cocks erect, our G-spots twirling. Roman orgies are being rediscovered on Millionaire's Row. In spring, the city will be sober. The city will be clean and cradled. Its villains sound asleep. Its name rid of dull blades. Its lips twitching for perky silver dollar nipples. Coming out smiling, smelling like a newborn, salivating, and not to be casted aside. This is our city. This is my city. The city of all things forgotten. A nice place for bums and assholes. I stopped in the bowling alley on top of the strip right across from Patchen Street. Echo Lanes, 10 Pins of Heaven. This old joint has been here for years, and as I recall, seeing how I used to come here as a kid, it never was a dull moment. Soon as I opened its big glass doors, everything rushed at me in a flash. The rumble from the crowds, the cracking of the pins, the zip and spins of custom bowling balls down the newly polished lanes, the dinging and knocking of beer glasses and soda pops. The announcements over the loudspeaker yelling out the winning numbers of the raffle tickets. Everything swirled together, and I swear you thought it was a locomotive muscling down its rough tracks, jerking you this way and that. And right when you thought you caught your breath, screams would ring out, "Strike! Strike! Strike!" It was league night, and all the gangs were there. The Lonely Housewives, the Spitfire Girls, Red's Auto and Carmen's Pizza, Salvatore's, Cafe 22, and the Mean Rollers from the pub up the creek. The local factory workers packed the bar, still sweating and housing dirt and goo under their fingernails, laughing and shouting and calling each other's bums and assholes. 3 of the tables were filled with deaf mutes, playing imaginary trumpets with their fingers, flying through the air, and all the haze of cigarette smoke, sweet perfume, and the flickering of blue neon. You almost could see and hear the blood-boiling excitement of jazz. The hunters were pulling an all-nighter, putting in a quick game before flexing their bows. It was deer season, and the smell of freshly cut venison they brought in poured from the kitchen, and the cook was barking out orders high on Oxycontin and promising his patrons the world's best steak. I tried to start a conversation with the only good-looking girl in the room, but came to find out she was married, and her husband, who was sitting right next to her, gave me the evil eye and began twirling his mustache like he was debating whether or not he should whip out his 6-shooter and call it a day. My God, I thought, these sons of bitches have it made. Their own language, their own tribe, commodes painted red, TV sets, lookout towers, buckets full of beer. And this place, their own place, the 10 Pins of Heaven, Echo Lanes. Wait, you can almost hear it. Echo Lanes, echo, echo, echo. And just like me, they always come back. After the rain, the courthouse is lit up in neon blue, dry cleaning the attitudes of the wicked on a Sunday evening. And the city is burning at dusk, dancing with the blind bats of hell and kissing the bright eyes of heaven. The defiled, beat down, and forgotten folks start rolling by Mama's Cafe, Pete's Kitchen, and the Satire Lounge. And the wind is building up, speeding through the street lights, stirring the shiny eyes of the cheap bass Scotch sippers, and the volume of the day just went up a notch with the clanking of wine glasses and the flamboyant smell of green olives and sharp cheddar. And Kitty's chicks are pulling tricks on Baker and Downing, waving their breeches, vibrating their lungs with shrieks of ecstasy, lubing their beaten legs that are built like railroad ties. And their pimps are digging on the whirlwind tunes of Miles Davis and Lester Young, swinging their heads and snapping their fingers without a care in the world. This is the look of the city, the rape of the evening. And sorrow hangs her head and sings no more. 6:45 a.m. Seeing her there sprawled out over the bed with her young, smooth legs and firm Asian ass as the sunlight glistened her sweaty skin, my cock was up and at 'em. Dancing to the beat, swinging to the dawn, she smiled, squeezing her eyes, tensing every muscle in her succulent body, vibrating her tongue. I put myself completely around her. I took in a deep breath, her black hair tasting her scent. Good morning, are you feeling it? I'm feeling it. I had the most amazing dream last night. Me too, baby, me too. How dare you? How dare you talk to me about love? The quiet hills, the jubilant breeze whistling through the cracked window pane as you rip out my guts, thrashing them across the white walls, across the wooded ceiling, trampling their red sloppy tears with your callous heart. How dare you? How dare you tell me to sing praise and then lash my backside with your colossus fists, jackhammer your steel horns on my atmosphere and kick dust in my hazel eyes? How dare you? How dare you screech like a plucked jaybird and destroy the morning's fresh breath of hope and innocence, you succulent witch's tit of sweaty dreams and 6 o'clock wake-up calls? How dare you? Judge not, lest ye be judged. Well, let me take a drink first. This is kind of a long one. She was a proper little slut whose pussy had gotten a little rusty. And she was guarded by 2 chiseled iron leopards on East Colfax Street. She was always surrounded by apostles who would drag their tattered robes across the giving dirt, clenching their empty bottles of wine and smoking their wacky tobacco through corncob pipes, creating heresy and committing simony. She was a loving queen who sucked the stiff dicks of the shameful in back alleys and fed the poor with her warm milk. The whole world wanted a piece of her. She loved to inflame the nail-biting priests in their stone cathedrals, who were always bullying the panhandlers, selling the boxes of porn magazines out of their shopping carts, and were shouting with every breath they could muster, "We got the best skin mags in town!" The moping elm trees on the corner were hacked at with buck knives by young lovers and cloven-footed imps, and bled with an "Oh God, why have you forsaken me" image. It was a lustful hell, a tempting circus. She bore many bastard children that would tease the feeble-minded with childish games like Ring Around the Rosy, and they would all fall down on their freckled-covered kneecaps and quiver with orgish laughter. If one would walk by this circle of debauchery, they would get a smell of freshly roasted hazelnuts, sandalwood, and a vile face-clenching sweat that moistened the sheets of this irresistible femme fatale, making it almost impossible to turn the other cheek. Her land was our land, and we both prayed every evening for our wells to never lose their water, for our bread to never go stale, and for our timeless sins that brought us together in this pitiful, sweet-sounding state. Isn't it a bitch? It seems that most published poets have won an award of some kind. State Prize, National Book Award, Pulitzer, honorable mentions in poetry, former laureates, kings and queens of their countries, local coffee shops, bards of their local bookstores. It's either this or they have an extensive list of degrees and letters behind their names signifying their height on the shit pile, or their Cliff Notes sophistication to the publishers, and all of them not even writing from the heart, the streets, no guts, no blood, just park walkers and martini sippers, no dirt, no life, just Prozac, woe is me TV, and university horse shit. God save us all! Better yet, let the devil out to ride their asses and whip brows with leather straps. I'm sure they'll give him an award for that, maybe even a movie deal. All right, that's it, Eddie. I'd like to, thank you. I'd like to thank Jim Canacci for asking me here and Kent Trumbull. So, thanks, Jim. Yeah.